Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Monday. It's the 27th day of April 2026. I hope you're all safe and healthy today, and that your family is safe and healthy, and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health is being met today. I hope you also enjoyed your weekend and had a safe and healthy one. Blessing upon those that work in the area of health, along with first responders doing their best every day to save lives, those that pick up garbage, keeping our places clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover teenagers and children, victims of child molestation and pedophilia. The people helping those that are victims of prostitution, child prostitution, pornography, child pornography, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators, the profiteers, and the perverts that create the demands that cause these industries to exist. Finally, double blessings on the homeless. More than 700,000 men, women, children, families, senior citizens, military veterans, homeless in the United States of America. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. There's going to be a basketball game tonight in Orlando, Florida. The Orlando Magic will be playing the Detroit Pistons. Now, somebody's now saying, well, this is the Knicks channel. This has a lot to do with the Knicks. What I wanted to know is, as the series at this point is 2-1 in favor of Orlando, I wanted to know what caused Orlando to win the 2 games they won and what caused Detroit to win the game that they won. Overall, the biggest difference, the biggest point spread, if you will, it was a Detroit 15-point win over Orlando in Detroit. And I think that was game 3. Now, what happened in that game, and this is a theme throughout the series, is Detroit won the rebounding battle 57-42. That was the main difference. In fact, you would think that maybe Detroit got more free throws. They didn't. Orlando had 32 free throws. Detroit had 24. Detroit only hit 58% of their free throws. Okay? And so Detroit took 26 threes. Orlando took 32 threes. But in terms of shots overall, Detroit took 85 and Orlando took only 80. And Detroit shot 46% from the field. Orlando shot 33. In that particular game, though, one of the things that was significant to me that I find very similar to how the Knicks would attack either of these teams is how the point guards play. For Detroit, we know that Cade Cunningham's the head of the snake. So what what Orlando has been doing was putting one of the 6'10 guys, namely Franz Wagner mostly, but they also used Paolo Banchero and even Wendell Carter to guard Cade Cunningham, putting length and athleticism on Cade Cunningham. That made Cade Cunningham make decisions. So that particular game where Detroit wins big, Cade Cunningham took 19 shots. Tobias Harris took 17 shots. Cade Cunningham had 11 assists, 6 boards, a steal, and he was plus 16. See, so Cade Cunningham is a superstar. You can only hope to slow down a guy like that. You can't really stop him. But they didn't slow him down in that game. He actually was able to distribute the basketball for 11 assists. He only had, in that game? Well, he also had 7 turnovers in that game. So he was distributing the ball and he was turning it over. But they still won because they were playing better defense and they out-rebounded Orlando. In the 2 Orlando wins. Now, in this Orlando loss, this one, Jalen Suggs took 18 shots. Banchero took 17, and then it was 11 for Wagner and 11 for Bain. Jalen Suggs was 7 of 18. He was 3 of 10 from the three-point line. He has 4 assists and 3 turnovers. He was minus 18. Banchero was minus 15. And what happened in this game? It was close. In fact, it was tied at the half. But then in the third quarter, Detroit went on basically outscored Orlando by 22, and that was the ball game. That was the ball game. Orlando came back in the fourth and outscored them by 7, but they couldn't overcome a 22-point lead. So there was a run by Detroit. Detroit was dominating the boards, okay? And that was the ball game. In the 2 wins, and I guess, again, in this particular game, Suggs took the most shots, okay? Point guard. He took the most shots in this particular game. Now, if you go back now, let's look at the 2 wins by Orlando. When the last game, Orlando won by 8 in Detroit. In Orlando, sorry. And in that particular game, watch, Suggs had taken 18 shots in the loss. He took 12 shots in the win. And Banchero got 17 shots and 9 assists. Wagner got 18 shots and 6 assists. Wendell Carter got 9, but he had 17 boards. And then, of course, Desmond Bane got 18 shots, and he had 7 boards. And they won. And they won by 8, okay, in that game. In that game, it was tight in the first quarter. Then in the second quarter, Orlando goes into the half up by 7. Then the third quarter, they kept it tight. In the fourth quarter, they kept it tight, and they win the game, okay? So the point guard didn't take as many shots in this particular game. And you'll find the same thing in the other win. And Orlando dominated the boards. So they're putting, usually it's Franz Wagner. And I watched one of the games. I forgot. I watched a highlight with every possession of one of the games. I forgot which one it was. It was a game that Orlando won, one of the 2 Orlando wins. I think it was the last game. This one I'm looking at here, 113-105. So Orlando started off with Franz Wagner guarding Cunningham. They weren't pressing him 94 feet, but they were guarding him with Franz Wagner. And it was successful. And then what Cunningham would do, that is, or Detroit, they would try to get Suggs. They would switch until they got Suggs on Cunningham. And then he would try to go on Suggs. Now, the thing is, Suggs is, as you can see, Suggs is built, not Suggs, Bane. They were trying to get Bane on Cunningham. And as you can see, Bane is built like a brick doo-doo house. They list him at 6'6", 215. So he is big enough to handle Cunningham. And Cunningham was still scoring on him, but it was a lot more of a fight. And this is the thing. Guy like a Cunningham, he might score, he gonna get his points, but you want to make it hard. You want to make him a jump shooter. You want to make him do more than he would normally do to get those points. Now, what does that tell us? Also, they changed hubs. The hub one game was Paolo Banchero. Another game it was Wendell Carter. And they could also use Franz Wagner. They got 3 different guys that they can put the offense to run through aside from Suggs. Okay? Bane was off ball all the games. But sometimes it was Wendell Carter, sometimes it was Paolo Banchero, and sometimes it was Franz Wagner. So for the Knicks, we know the head of the snake is Brunson. We know, as his daddy said, move the ball. He has to let the ball go, okay? And he has to and we got a guy that's better than Banchero, better than Franz Wagner, better than Wendell Carter in Cat. We got a guy that can also handle the ball and run off ball, OG. Okay? So the Knicks have to utilize OG and Cat, as we already know, to combat Detroit's defense. And as far as Cunningham, we got a guy, OG, that can guard Cunningham. They're going to try to switch and end up with Brunson trying to guard Cunningham. They want that. Brunson's going to have to fight. And it's really, they're going to do it immediately. As soon as they come down the floor, they're going to be looking to get Cunningham with, just like Atlanta's doing, get C.J. McCollum with Brunson guarding him. Brunson, for his part, if he uses his energy defensively in the fight, I'm not saying he can lock anybody up, but he can make it tougher, more difficult for the guy they trying to get him to mismatch on. If he's trying to save his energy so he can battle offensively, that's a problem. He's got to let go of the basketball and use his energy when they're going to attack him. The Knicks have to help him just enough to get the ball out of Cunningham's hand. Okay? That's what they got to do. With respect to how Detroit is built, they got Tobias Harris in their starting lineup. They got Duncan Robinson. They got Jalen Duren in their starting lineup, right? And so you look at that starting lineup and you're like, okay, that team is built, and then who am I missing? That team is built around, and Nassar Thompson, obviously. That team is built around Cade Cunningham. They really don't have another guy that they can set the offense up through. They've tried to do it with Duren, but to limited success. All of these guys are off-ball guys. Harris, Robinson, Thompson, they're all off-ball guys. Cunningham is the guy with the head of the snake. The Knicks are not so. The Knicks have, we know they have Brunson, but they can put the ball in Cat's hands. And he's not able to be stopped by anybody that we're playing in this playoffs. Okay, so the best chance are the Orlando Magic because of the 3-6-10 guys. But generally speaking, there's nobody on Detroit. Jalen Duren cannot guard him. Okay, Paul Reed cannot guard him. So they usually try to put a Nassar Thompson on somebody shorter, Isaiah Stewart. They can't guard him either, especially if he's given the ball and given the free autonomy to make cut passes to cutters or go off the dribble or shoot. Cat was earlier in last year and this year, he was turning into too much of a happy jump shooter. He's not doing that this year. What he's doing is trying to get to the hole and forcing teams to try to double team him. What he's doing is holding the ball high over his head and looking for cutters, which puts pressure on the defense because they got to guard those cutters. If they don't, he's going to go on you. Okay? So we have two guys that can do off the dribble in Brunson and Cat. We know that OG has gotten a lot better. In fact, that was the surprise of last season, that OG can go on teams off the dribble, and he's doing the same thing now. OG has always been one of the top 3-point shooters in the league from the corners because he could set up there. But now, if you overplay OG, he can go on you and he can flush it on you, as we have seen, and he will cut off the ball, as will Mikal Bridges. If they know that there's a possibility, they will get the ball. And this has been our problem. That was not a possibility when Brunson has the ball. It is a strong possibility when Cat has the ball. So the Knicks must continue to go through Cat. They could also post up OG. And then you got Josh Hart, who also cuts off the ball. Now, height-wise, the Knicks are at a disadvantage. But if you're using your quickness, your speed, and, of course, gang rebounding, which the Knicks have been doing, you can overcome any height problem. And the Knicks have been doing it all season. I mean, they won 53 games, okay? And this series is tied. If they go through Cat offensively, this is going to be quick work. If they don't, it's going to be a battle, okay? If they don't. Now, one other thing. In the game that Orlando lost to Detroit, Wendell Carter fouled out. And Batazzi had 5. So, and I can't say that the refs, I didn't review the game, but if I'm looking at the stats, I can't say the refs favored Detroit because in that game, Orlando got 32 free throws and Detroit only had 24, and Detroit only hit 58% of those 24. So it wasn't the free throw shooting, but they was fouling apparently a lot to lose Wendell Carter Jr. and to almost lose Batazzi to 5 fouls. So that is the weakness there, okay? So for the Knicks, and I'm strongly feeling that the formula that Orlando is using, I don't think Detroit has an answer for, because, as I said, they only have one guy that they can run the offense through, and it's Cunningham. They got the other guy, the rookie that was the Danius Jenkins, that stepped up, but he ain't getting a lot of minutes right now. He got 7 minutes in the last game. Only 7 minutes he got. They were running Stewart, Javonte Green, and Kevin Herter. None of them are guys that you can run your offense through. None of them, okay, are that. Okay, so with that, and then the Knicks fortunately have two high-level guys in both Cat and Brunson. They're going to key on Brunson. They can't key on Cat. See, they can key on Brunson because he'll still try to force a shot with two guys on him. They can't do that to Cat because he'll have cutters. Josh, McCall, OG, and when he wants to, Brunson. And that will nullify. So I'm expecting Orlando to win this series. I want to watch this game tonight because I want to see how JB Bickerstaff counters. But it's going to be difficult for him to counter because he's only got one guy that can really run that offense, and that's Cunningham. If they can slow Cunningham, that is they being Orlando, can slow Cunningham down, or I don't say stop him. You don't stop a guy like Cunningham. You just slow him down. It's like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Okay, what does Orlando got? Well, head of the snake is obviously Shai, right? But then they got Chet Holmgren, who can shoot threes, who can get the ball out top and pass it. They got Hartenstein, who's not Cat in terms of a shooter, don't get me wrong, but can he pass the ball? Hell yeah. Can he play solid defense? Hell yeah. Can he rebound the ball? Hell yeah. So they can go through one of those two fives and get business done. Okay? Get business done. That's why. And then, of course, Jay Will. Or not Jay Will. Yeah, Jay Will. Jay Will, they still got him. And he's all-star, superstar, burgeoning superstar. So those guys, they can run that out. My point being, they can run that offense through somebody other than Shai. And they can take pressure off of Shai. And if you try to guard Shai, the thing about Gilgeous-Alexander, and teams have done it, you can put a big guy on him. It's still difficult to stop. Okay? He's very difficult to stop. Okay? Even with a big guy on him. Whereas, even though I'm not going to say Orlando stopped Cade Cunningham, but they made it difficult for him. In the game that Detroit just won, Cade scored 27, but he was 8 of 23. That's 30% he's shooting from the field. He was 3 of 10. They made him a jump shooter from the three-point line. And then he shot 8 of 9 from the free throw line, but he had 9 turnovers. See, and what's going on? He's the only guy that they can run the offense through. He's got to make it happen himself, and that's 9 turnovers. Brunson has 6 turnovers in the last game. He got hurt, and that was a good excuse to get his ass out the game because then the ball moved. And again, in the playoffs, not many teams are getting 30 assists. But teams that do have the ball moving, like in this game, where Detroit lost by 8. Look, 24 assists for Detroit, 22 assists for Orlando. So it was kind of even. And nobody was killing the assist game, but the turnover, 14 for Orlando, 16 for Detroit. And again, of the 16, 9 of them was Cade Cunningham. And I'm not blaming Cade Cunningham. It's just showing that he has to have the ball in his hand. If he doesn't, they're going to lose. See, during the course of the season, Danis Jenkins played very well. But see, this is the playoffs, and some of y'all still ain't got that. This is where the grown-ass men got to play. You put Danis Jenkins in there, they're going to put Franz Wagner on him, and he's going to have a problem. Okay? He's going to have a problem. It's more physical in the playoffs. It's for the grown-ass men. Okay? So Jenkins, they only played him 7 minutes. He was minus 10. Because it's really time for the grown-ass men. And Cade Cunningham is the only grown-ass man they have that they can run the offense through. Okay? And I also noticed that on defense, whereas you saw last year, Asar Thompson was guarding Brunson 94 feet, Asar Thompson was not guarding Suggs 94 feet. And why is that? Because Suggs was being passed first when they were winning. So he was giving up the rock. So it didn't make no sense to try to guard him 94 feet. Matter of fact, he would throw the ball to one of them trees on the front line, and they could make it happen. Or to Bain, and they could make it happen. And that's what was going on. The Knicks got to do that. And you want to beat Orlando? You want to beat Detroit? You got to utilize Cat and OG, both offensively and defensively. Okay? And then, of course, the Knicks have also the supporting cast, the McCalls, the Hearts, right? They got the supporting cast as well, but you got to utilize OG. You got to utilize Cat, as the offense has got to run through Cat. Got to, okay? If we're gonna win, and that's why I can understand. Just like you and me was frustrated, why Rick was frustrated. This series does not have to be this close. It's all in the hands of Jalen Brunson. He needs to give up the freaking ball and go hard off ball. The Knicks will roll. The Knicks will roll if they do that. And Brunson needs to use his energy to stay in front of McCall. That's all he has to do. He don't have to save his energy for the offense. We don't need him there. And if he does that, he will get wide open spot up shots, as he did in the last game. He will get that. The ball will come to him because the Knicks are moving the basketball. And Cat ain't no ball hog. Cat will find you. Cat's favorite player ever is Magic Johnson, a 6'9" point guard. Cat kind of fancies himself after that. And of course, we know Cat can go to the hole. Cat can bullet ball you and flush you. Cat can hit a three. The key factor here is Karl-Anthony Towns. If you let him do his thing, see, you got to understand, you got 2 All-NBA players. That means you got 2 players that are top 15 in the league, which is top 15 on planet Earth, on your team. You must maximize them. If you have Brunson shooting all, you're going to turn off Mikal Bridges, you're going to turn off Cat. See, when you see Mikal have a rough game like that ain't defensive related, it's because he ain't getting the ball. He ain't touching it. He can run all day. He ain't seeing it. And that's Brunson's fault. Okay? When he's touching it, even if he ain't shooting every time, which he don't have to, he's a smart player, everything going to flow better. Everything going to flow better. Okay? Now, if McCall has his head in his behind, and this is the thing, there's 2 things that have helped from this last game. Number 1, Dyson Daniels messed around and got him all hyped now. So here come McCall tomorrow, I'm sorry. And then you got Deuce waiting in the wings. And if you look up the differentials when Deuce is on the floor, always positive. So you got Deuce out there. And McCall knows that. He done got a good dose of it. Last 2 games, okay? Deuce was playing. Deuce played the last, 20 minutes of the game? It was him, okay? He was not only hitting them deadly threes, he was putting lockdown defense, aggressive defense on whoever he was guarding. So McCall knows this. And McCall's hyped up because Dyson Daniels he must have said the magic word because you hyped McCall. Now he's going to be coming for blood. Okay? He ain't going to hog the ball. That's not McCall. But this is the key. He's not going to have his head in his behind on defense. He's going to be alert and ready from the tip. And that's all we need. Y'all enjoy the Monday. I can't wait to watch this game between Orlando and Detroit tonight because I want to see what Bickerstaff's going to counter on Orlando. I don't know what he could do. I really don't. But we're going to see. Y'all enjoy the game. Enjoy your Monday. Be safe out there. Shalom.